Assembly procedure. While assembling the piston and the connecting rod, ensure piston arrow mark and connecting lug mark should be towards engine front direction. Install the piston ring and snap rings. Arrow mark is stamped near the piston ring ends. Install with the mark in engine front direction. If a piston is replaced, piston rings also should be replaced. Place the oil ring by using the piston ring expander. Place the second compression ring and first compression ring. Ensure to lubricate the upper connecting rod bearing with engine oil before fitment. Install the taper plug. Lubricate the camshaft bush with engine oil and install it by using the camshaft bushing installer. Place the piston cooling nozzle and tighten the bolts. Insert the cylinder sleeve by using the cylinder sleeve installer. Ensure to lubricate the upper main bearing with engine oil before fitment. Face the side of thrust plate having no oil groove towards the crankcase. Face the side of first thrust plate having no oil groove towards the main bearing cap. Place the upper thrust washer. Place the crankshaft. Make sure that the main bearing lug is aligned with the main bearing cap lug groove. Make sure that the main bearing cap lug groove and crankcase lug groove are on the same side. Place the thrust washer lower. Place the lower main bearing and install the bearing cap. Place and tighten all the mounting bolts of bearing cap. Tighten bolts of main bearing caps to specified torque of 50 ± 5 Nm and apply angular torque of 90 degree ± 5 degree. Place the gasket. Install the front oil seal and front cover assembly and place the front cover assembly. Tighten the all mounting bolts of front cover assembly. Place the crankshaft pulley. Install the washer. Ensure, while tightening crankshaft pulley mounting nut, hold the crankshaft to avoid rotating and tightening the mounting nut of crankshaft pulley. Measure the end play of crankshaft. If limit is reached, then replace the thrust washer. With respect to the thrust washer oversizes limit. Insert the piston connecting rod assembly by using piston installer. Ensure that the upper main bearing has an oil hole, and it must not to be confused with the lower bearing, which is plain. Place the connecting rod cap and tightening the mounting bolts. Place the oil pump gear assembly with the help of mounting bolts. Place the oil pump housing and gasket with the help of mounting bolts. Ensure before fitting oil pan to place 3 mm bitting and apply sealant of Anabond 6732 oil pan. Place the oil pan and tighten the mounting bolts. Install the thrust washer on camshaft. Install the trigger wheel. And tighten all the mounting bolts. Place the cam gear, washer, and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the gasket. Place the gear train housing. And tighten all the mounting bolts. Ensure before placing crank gear to apply Loctite 638 between crank gear and crankshaft pulley. Place the crankshaft gear and tighten the bolt. Install bush in the idler gear by using the idler bushing installer and lubricate the bush with engine oil. Install the idler shaft by using the idler shaft installer. Place the idler gear. Place the washer. Tighten the mounting bolts of idler gear. Install the camshaft gear assembly. Ensure to match the mark of the camshaft gear to the corresponding mark on the crankshaft gear. Ensure to lubricate gear train with engine oil. Tighten the mounting bolts of gear shaft assembly. Place the gasket and flywheel housing. Position and tighten the mounting bolts of flywheel housing at oil pan. Position and tighten the bolts of oil pan stiffener. Place and tighten the mounting bolts of flywheel housing. Place the flange gasket and flange. Tighten all the mounting bolts of flange. Install the oil seal with the help of oil seal installer. Insert the dowel pin. Place the flywheel. Place the washer plate. Tighten all the bolts of flywheel. Tighten bolts of flywheel to specified torque of 50 ± 5 Nm and apply angular torque of 90 degree ± 5 degree. Measure the flywheel run out using dial gauge. If limit is reached, then correct or replace flywheel. Apply Loctite 2422 on injector sleeve thread before assembly. Mating surface of injector sleeve and cylinder head need to be free from oil, coolant, dirt, etc. It is recommended to use IPA or acetone as cleaning solution. 30 minutes curing time after injector sleeve assembly to ensure to get required handling strength. Extreme care to be taken to avoid any cut or damage to injector O-ring. Ensure that O-ring is proper fitted in injector sleeve while installing. Install the injector sleeve by using the injector sleeve installer. Install the valve seat by using valve seat installer. Install the valve stem seal by using the valve stem installer. Insert the valve in cylinder head. Place the valve spring and spring retainer. Place and fit the valve cotter by using valve spring compressor. Install rocker bush and rocker arm by using the rocker bush installer and lubricate the rocker bush with engine oil. Install the rocker arm and rocker shaft assembly. Lubricate the tappet with engine oil and install it by using the tappet installer. Insert the dowel pin. Place the gasket and cylinder head. Tightening the mounting bolts of cylinder head. Ensure to lubricate the push rod with engine oil before fitment. Place the rocker pedestal. Place the rocker shaft assembly and tighten the bolts. Place and tighten the nuts of rocker arm. Place the injector holder along with injector bridge. Tighten the pre-tighten injector bridge mounting bolt. Install the side connector and tighten the nuts. Position and tighten the injector holder bolts. Place the wiring harness connector. Place the gasket. Place the rocker cover and tighten the mounting bolts. Insert the injector harness coupler inside the rocker cover and push from inside. Insert the clip into the harness coupler. Connect the engine harness to injector harness and rotate. Ensure that the direction of breather elbow should be at wall of rocker cover side. Place the breather pipe and tighten the bolts. Tighten the bracket bolts of breather pipe. Place the gasket. Place the gasket and oil cooler. And tighten the nuts. Place the oil cooler assembly and tighten the mounting nuts and bolts. Install the oil bypass filter by using the bypass filter wrench. Place the main oil filter. Place the coolant inlet adapter of EGR cooler and tighten the bolt. Connect the fuel return pipe. Place the gasket. Place the inlet manifold. Tighten all the nuts and bolts of inlet manifold. Place the starter motor and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the air compressor along with power steering pump. Place the pipings of air compressor and tighten the bolts. tighten all the mounting bolts of air compressor. Connect the air compressor pipings. Place the gasket. Place the high-pressure fuel pump, and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the common rail bracket, and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the common rail, and tighten the mounting bolts. Connect to the high-pressure pipe from high-pressure pump to common rail. Remove the plug. Connect the high-pressure pipe from common rail to side injector. Place the gasket and exhaust manifold. Tighten all the nuts of exhaust manifold. Place the exhaust manifold heat shield, and tighten the bolts. Connect the turbocharger assembly and exhaust bend along with gasket, and tighten the nuts. Place the turbocharger assembly and exhaust bend. Tighten the nuts and bolts of turbocharger assembly. Connect the oil outlet pipe of turbocharger. Connect the oil inlet pipe of turbocharger. Place the turbocharger heat shield, and tighten the bolts. Place the gasket. Install the thermostat in thermostat housing. Place the thermostat housing, and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the gasket. Place the thermostat cover. Tighten the mounting bolts of thermostat cover. Place the gasket. Place the water pump housing, and tighten the mounting bolts. Connect the coolant inlet hose of thermostat. Place the alternator supporting bracket, and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the alternator and tighten bolts and nuts. Connect the oil inlet pipe of vacuum pump. Connect the oil outlet pipe of vacuum pump. Place the idler pulley and tighten the mounting bolt. Place the auto tensioner and tighten the mounting bolt. Place the water pump assembly and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the fan and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the fan shaft assembly and tighten the mounting bolts. Place the fan mounting pulley and tighten the bolts. Make down the auto tensioner and place the V-belt. Place the fan spacer. Place the fan drive assembly and tighten the nuts. Place the EGR solenoid and tighten the bolts. Connect the EGR solenoid hose. Place the EGR valve and tighten the mounting bolts. Connect the pipe from EGR valve to EGR venturimeter. Connect the hoses of EGR valve and EGR solenoid. Place the EGR venturimeter bracket. Place the EGR venturimeter. Tighten the bolts of venturimeter bracket. Connect the exhaust inlet pipe of EGR cooler. Place the EGR cooler and gasket. Tighten the mounting bolts of supporting bracket. Connect the coolant outlet pipe of EGR cooler. Connect the coolant inlet pipe of EGR cooler. Adjustment and measurement. Measure the backlash between gears. If limit is reached, then replace the gear. Crank speed sensor air gap measurement and adjustment. Measure the distance from the crank speed sensor mounting surface to the target wheel at different position of flywheel in order to achieve recommended air gap. And adjustment with the help of shim max, up to 4, if required. cam sensor air gap measurement and adjustment. Measure the distance from the cam sensor mounting surface to the target wheel at different poles of trigger wheel in order to achieve recommended air gap, and adjust with the help of shim max, up to 4 if required. Install the cam sensor and tighten the mounting bolt. V-belt tension measurement and adjustment. Measure the V-belt tension between the alternator pulley and idler pulley, and also between fan pulley and damper pulley. If limit is reached, then replace the V-belt. Measurement of oil pressure. Remove the oil pressure and connect the pressure gauge. Measure the oil pressure. If limit is reached, then check all the parts of oil system and replace if required. Measurement and adjustment of valve clearance. Rotate the crankshaft to align the inscribed line 0, mark position of the damper pulley with pointer of damper pulley flange. When the piston in number 1 cylinder is at TDC on the compression stroke, check and adjust clearance of valve market with 0. Then rotate the crankshaft 1 full turn. Check and adjust clearances of the remaining valves marked with X. Measurement of compression pressure. Disconnect all the high-pressure pipes and fuel return pipe, and remove injector. Install compression gauge adapter and NRV adapter on the injection nozzle mounting hole together, and connect the compression gauge. Crank the engine with the starter, read the compression gauge pointer value with the specified value,